Hello, it's Heather here, and today I'm going to show you how to make homemade spaghetti sauce using your own tomatoes. As you can tell here, I have a bunch of different tomatoes. I have a couple beefsteak, I have the Roma tomato, and a couple of the vine tomatoes over here. I'm boiling the tomatoes just to get the skin to come off so that I can peel them. You don't want to use the skin in your sauce. Over here I have tomatoes that were already boiled, just waiting for them to cool down a little bit. As you can tell, the skin is starting to come off on its own already. As soon as these are finished, I'll come back with the next step. Okay, our next step is getting the tomatoes peeled. I had already peeled one of them. It's still pretty hot. Just want to peel it and get rid of the skin. Pretty simple procedure. I guess I don't really need to show this step. Just peel all of your tomatoes. You can even peel them underwater, just to cool them down a little bit faster. And I'll come back with the next steps. Okay, I'm going to cut into my peeled tomatoes here. I'm going to cut it right in the middle. And you'll notice there's a lot of seeds in here. You can scoop, you can scoop them out. I like to keep some seeds. It adds a little bit of fiber, I think, to the sauce. But you do want to remove most of them, or you don't have to. You can do whatever you like with that. And you want to make sure you don't have any of this core in there. You want to get rid of that. Throw it out. And you're going to want to cut your tomatoes up into, small little chunks. The bigger the chunks, the chunkier your sauce will be. These are going to break down in the pot over a course of 2 hours. Some people, if you're in a hurry, you can actually just blender this up and put it on the stove for an hour. It'll save you time. But I like to do it this way. Just going to cut them up into different sizes. And I'm going to save the juice from it also. That's going to be part of the sauce. Remove some of the seeds out of that. It's actually pretty hard to remove the seeds. You can use a strainer to do that. You could also take a strainer and just pour this into here, with a pot here, of course, and get your seeds out that way. I'm going to go ahead and do that in a minute, once I get some of this cut up. Okay, I'm going to show everybody the next step. I'm just going to cut all these up like I just did, and then I'm going to put them through a strainer, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back. I'm going to put my burner on low, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, about maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of that. As you can see, I have a lot of my tomatoes cut up already. I'm going to add some oil to that pot. A little crooked there. I'm going to go ahead and try to get these seeds out of here. I'm going to add all of this juice to the pot. All of the tomatoes. I'm just going to siphon that out like that for now. We're going to use all the tomatoes, but right now I'm just putting the juice in here. And of course you're still going to have all your seeds stuck in here. So I'll show you how to remove that in just a minute. Okay. You want all the liquid, because that's going to be part of your sauce as well. Now I'm just going to put this in here gently as I try to, get rid of some of the seeds. I know there's probably a better way to do this. There was actually another way that I used to know, and I had forgotten how to do that. But some seeds are actually good to have. It just depends if you want seeds or not. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put all the tomatoes in here. And as you'll see, there's going to be juice and tomatoes all in there. And then I'm going to come back with more steps to this. Okay, I have a lot of juice here, tomato juice with seeds. So I'm just going to pour this into the strainer. And all that liquid is going to go into the pot without the extra seeds. And we'll be left with this, some seeds there. It's another way you can remove them from the juice. It's so hard to remove them, though, from the actual tomato. If anybody knows any other way to do that, I would love to hear about it. Okay. I'm actually not finished cutting this up yet. We still have a lot of seeds that we don't want. And right now, if you were to eat this, it tastes terrible. Because we haven't added anything in there at all. There's no salt, no sugar, no herbs and spices. But this is what you'll get when you're finished. You can cut yours up smaller or larger. It doesn't really matter. Or you could even put it in the blender if you're pressed for time. So that way it won't have to break down in your on your stove naturally. So it's a lot quicker that way. Okay, we're back. And we have all of our tomatoes in there with the liquid. 50% of the seeds are gone. I'm going to add about a half a cup of water for now. Just a little bit of that. Another tablespoon of olive oil. And I'm just going to give this a little stir. And I'm going to simmer this on low-medium, like number 3. It may be different on your stove. I'm just going to give it a little stir. And I'm going to check around for any cores that I may have missed. Yep, there's one right there. Give a little stir. And I'm not going to add anything at all to this yet. I could add a pinch of salt if I wanted. But I'm not going to add anything until the end. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. You're actually going to need a pretty good amount of salt because there's nothing in this at all. Now, I don't like too much salt because it's, not good for you. So my my sauce is not going to be nearly as salty as the canned kind. This is going to break down your tomatoes. These big chunks will get small. You can simmer this for 1 hour or 2 hours if you like. Just depends on how big your tomatoes are. I'll probably have to go maybe 1.5 hours. I'm going to actually turn it down a little bit. You don't want this to boil because it will pull all of your flavor right out. And you're going to want to stir this like every 15 minutes within the hour or 2 that you're going to simmer this. I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on mine. And the next step will actually be 1.5 hours from now. But I could also cut up some stuff a while that I'm going to put in my sauce. So I'll come back with that. Okay, as you can tell, I have a sweet onion here and I have some garlic. I'm going to put about this much in. So I'm going to peel this and cut it up. And I'm going to put some of this in. And I'm going to add some mushrooms. You don't want to add this yet, though. You just want to cut it up for now. I'm just doing this for the video's sake. You can actually wait until this is finished. When you cut this, you can wait. I'm just going to go ahead and do this now. Now, you don't have to add onions and garlic or mushrooms or anything like that. I just think it makes it taste a lot better. We'll get our mushrooms in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and peel this. Now, some people also add paste. I also do add the paste. I just like it as a thickener. You don't have to do that. You could actually thicken your own sauce by taking some of this out when it gets hot and putting it into a very hot pan and stirring it really fast. That's supposed to be like a thickener. I have never really tried it. I've seen videos where it does work. Basically, you would just take some of the juice out of here with a tablespoon, and you would put like 3 or 4 tablespoons into a hot pan and keep on stirring, and then add it back as a thickener. But I am going to add the paste. but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to go ahead and cut up the onion now. And I'm going to cook this lightly even before I put it in there at the end. So I'm just going to cut it up for now and put it into a pan. Some chunks are going to be a little bigger. That's just the way I like it. If you want it smaller, you can even grate it up. I just like cutting it by hand. And I'm not going to overkill it with onion. My husband, he's not real fond of onions a whole lot. I like them, but I don't like overkill either, so I'm just going to add a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more than this. We're going to go ahead and peel the garlic and cut that up as well. And then I'm going to get some mushrooms and cut them up. And I'll be back with the next step. Okay, we have our cut up mushrooms. I have just the cremini mushrooms and the white. We have our garlic and our onions all cut up. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Add a tablespoon or two to that. And give it a little stir. I'm going to cook this on probably like medium for about 5 to 8 minutes. You don't want to overcook it because it's going to go ahead and cook a little bit longer in your sauce. I'm just going to stir that up a little bit and cook that for about 5 to 8 minutes. And we have our sauce over here still simmering. It's been about an hour and a half since I had everything simmering here. As you can tell, it's more liquidy now. The tomatoes are broken down. They're still a little chunky because I did cut them bigger. This is just the way I like it. And I cooked my mushrooms, onion, and garlic just until it has like a nice little glazed look. You don't want to overcook it. Since I like to eat this again, you know, I want a lot, I bought also some sauce to put in. You don't have to add this. This is just something I do to make, you know, more of it because, you know, the tomatoes are very expensive. Some of these are from the garden. We had a very horrible rainy year, so I didn't get a lot of tomatoes this year. So I wanted to add a little bit of that, and I'm going to add some paste. I don't think I'm going to use the whole jar, but I'm probably going to use most of it. And I'm going to go ahead and add that now. If you want to simmer your sauce longer, you can before adding that, or you don't have to add it at all. I'm going to go ahead and add this first. I'm not going to add my paste yet. And after I add this, I'm going to simmer it for another 30 minutes before I add my paste. And then I'm going to go ahead and come back and add this. Okay, I'm back. I added my no salt sauce because I like to add my own salt. We have this juicy mixture with a little bit of lumpy tomatoes for the chunkier sauce. Now I'm going to add some of the paste. This is just a plain paste. It only has 20 milligrams of salt. If you're, if you're worried about salt like I am. So I'm going to add some of that. Like I said, you do not have to add paste if you don't want it. You can use your own sauce as a thickener in a nice hot pan, but I'm going to do this. Stupid can opener. Okay. Now I'm going to see how much I actually need. I may not need the whole thing. It just depends on how thick you want your sauce also. I like mine medium. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons for now, and then give it a stir. And we haven't added mostly any salt to this yet, and spices. We haven't added that yet. I'm going to stir this up, just to see how thick it's going to get. It's not getting real thick, so you're going to need more. I'm going to add a real big heaping tablespoon there. I really want it to taste natural, so I don't want to really add a lot of the canned goods. Just want to press it around and get it really mixed. But this is where I'm going to, this is where I'm going to add my salt. I'm just going to add it like this. Now remember, there's hardly no salt at all in this. So you're going to want to add a pretty good amount, but not too much. I'm thinking maybe a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Because actually every 1/4 teaspoon of salt is $5.90, which is pretty yucky. It's pretty bad. But, you know, you're not going to eat the whole plate of sauce, so you're not really getting what that says. Now, if you were to eat this now, it would still taste very bitter and horrible. So now this is where the sugar comes in. Now, if you like it sweet, you can add up to 4 to 5 tablespoons. I like it a little sweet, but not too sweet. Because I think the sweeter the sauce, the more it kind of reminds me of pizza sauce. You don't want your spaghetti sauce real sweet. I mean, unless you like it that way. I'm going to go ahead and add a tablespoon at a time. Usually I'll add up to 4 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that should really do it justice there. I'm going to give it a stir. And I'm going to go ahead and add another tablespoon or teaspoon of oil. The oil can be fattening, so you don't want a lot of that. It thickens it a little bit, and it gives it a more, you know, good flavor. You can use any olive oil you like. I was using a different kind, but this is the kind I like. I kind of like the lighter tasting oils in spaghetti sauces especially. Because, you know, they can taste pretty yucky and rancid, the ones that are more heavier than the light. Okay, my sauce is getting thicker now. It's still not as thick as I would like it, but it will thicken as it cooks. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of the paste. I almost have the whole thing added. I probably have about 1 or 2 tablespoons left in there. I'm going to let this simmer for another 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'm going to start adding all of my herbs and spices. But actually, I'm not going to add that yet. I'm going to go ahead and add all of these goodies here. I could actually do that now if I wanted, which I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to turn this to low. Or you could simmer it for another 15 minutes. But technically you could put it in now. And then I'm going to go ahead and simmer this for another maybe 15. And then add my spice. You don't want a lot of that water in there. I'm going to probably drain these. This is our garlic, mushrooms, and onion. Simmered. I'm going to give it a stir. And I'm going to add a little bit of pepper, though, right now to this. And I'm going to go ahead and simmer this again on, you know, kind of low, number 2, lower than before. You don't want this to boil at all, especially at this stage when it's almost finished. And you'll end up with that for now. And it will thicken. I'm going to go ahead and simmer this for another 15 minutes. Okay, we're back. As you can tell, I have all my spices here. And I just picked some fresh basil from my herb garden. Now, this stuff is good. I like it. Some people do not like the flavor. But I'm going to be adding oregano, garlic powder, more salt, paprika, and pepper. Now, the total salt that I am going to put in this is probably about a teaspoon and a few sprinkles. So right now, I'm just going to break up my herbs. You can cut these with a knife, or you can break them up. I'm just going to go ahead and do it like this. Just, you know, small little pieces. They don't have to be real small. It just depends on what you like. I'm going to add some of that. I'm going to add some paprika. Just a little bit of that. And you can even add some red peppers for extra flavor. I'm going to go ahead and do that too in a minute. I'm going to add some oregano. Unfortunately, my oregano didn't do so good this year. But this is just as good. This is the dried. I'm going to add some of that. It's probably about half a teaspoon. I'm going to add some garlic powder. Oops, it's already been opened.